Sports Authority of India, Shri Vinit Kumarji, Chief Advisor TTFI, Shri D.R. Chaudhary ji, in charge operations Sai, Dr. Rajendra Pathania ji. Dear kids, coaches, parents, and friends, as we are about to commence the last day of 8th week, that is 40th session of Khelo India e-Pathshala Athletes Coaching and Education Program, brought to you by Sports Authority of India and Table Tennis Federation of India, hosted by Netaji Subhash Eastern Center, Sai, Kolkata. First of all, a very good morning. You all may feel that at 5:30 p.m. in the evening, why I am greeting you all with good morning, because the person who is going to speak today as a chief resource person is having 5:30 a.m., 5:30 early morning in his wall clock at Orario, Colorado, United States of America. I am feeling privileged enough to formally introduce keynote speaker for today's evening session. Today we are having with us Mr. Richard Mcafee. Mr. Mcafee has been coaching table tennis for more than 50 years and is a certified International TT Federation and ITTF course conductor of level 1, 2, and 3. He is an ITTF trainer. In this capacity, he has conducted more than 75 ITTF international coaching courses and development projects on 4 continents, training more than 1,600 coaches single-handedly and almost 5,000 athletes. Coach Mcafee has conducted 24 ITTF coaching courses and training camps in India in last 8 years. For his work in the USA, Coach Mcafee has received the 2004 United States Olympic Committee DOC Councilman Science Award for table tennis, 2003 Georgia Coach of the Year, 1999 United States Olympic Committee Developmental Best Coach of the Year Award, 1996 Merit Award for the International Olympic Committee. In 2005, Coach Mcafee was inducted into the USA Table Tennis Hall of Fame. He is the first and foremost a teacher of the game. His articles on the science of the sport can be found in magazines and on websites worldwide. In 2009, he authored Table Tennis Steps to Success, which has become a best-selling instructional book worldwide. Coach Mcafee currently lives in Aurora, Colorado, and is president of the Sky High Table Tennis Club. In addition to his coaching work, he has also contributed to the sport in the area of tournament management. In 1994, he was the competition manager and director of 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games of table tennis events. In addition, he has served as ITT Pro Tour competition manager and several other events. First of all, I request Regional Director of Sports Authority of India, Shri Vinit Kumarji, to kindly address and welcome Mr. Mcafee.
Good evening, everyone in India, and good morning to Mr. Richard Mcafee. I'll address Mr. MP Singh, Secretary General, Table Tennis Federation of India, Shri Atul Dubey, Director, and all the others who have joined this session. I think today the whole table tennis fraternity of India is privileged that Mr. Richard Mcafee has joined us and has agreed to take this session, last session, as you said. I think we are really lucky and privileged that such an elite and highly experienced coach of more than 50 years experience, who has trained more than 1,600 coaches and more than 5,000 athletes all over the world. So I welcome him, and I'm sure all the table tennis players of India will definitely gain a lot what he will deliver today with his experience and expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinit sir. Now I humbly request our Secretary General, TTFI, Shri MP Singh ji sir, to welcome Mr. Mcafee on behalf of TTFI and share his feelings on this occasion and bless our today's kids but future champions as well. MP sir, please.
Once again, on the behalf of Sai and TTFI, I welcome Mr. Richard. Richard, TTFI welcomes you once again, not actual but virtual platform, e-Pathshala. I am sure the experience and wisdom you will definitely better our Indian peddlers. PTFI is always for the upliftment of players from grassroots to master class, along with the coaches and technical officials as well. We acknowledge your dedication as you have delivered at least 50 programs exclusively in India since 2012. I wish healthy days comes to you and all table tennis family on the global. Dear little kids, attending this session for last 40 days, that is very good. And Bacho, be brave. I appreciate your dedication efforts and your punctuality in attending this program and by PTFI and SIDE and looking after by Mr. Atul Dubey. This program, again, I will ask the kids to stay healthy, eat good, and follow parents' direction. As soon as this pandemic threat will over, we will meet again very soon. Thank you once again, Mr. Richard, and thanks, Sai, for helping us to make success this program. Thank you.
Thank you, MP sir. And on behalf of kids, I assure TTFI and SI that whole day schedule, this 1 hour, what our table tennis kids are attending this online program, they are very much stupendous. They are very much having a zeal and enthusiasm to attend this platform, which is provided by your kind self and Sports Authority of India. Before I request Mr. Mcafee to commence his talk, I request in charge operations Sports Authority of India, Dr. Rajendra Pathania, to offer a vote of thanks to our Secretary General TTFI, Shri MP Singh ji, to Regional Director Shri Vineet Kumar ji, and our Chief Advisor Shri D.R. Chaudhary ji, and of course, formally welcome Mr. Mcafee.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I really thankful General Secretary Table Tennis Federation of India, Mr. MP Singh, that he joined this program, and I again thankful to Mr. D.R. Chaudhary, Chief Advisor, Table Tennis Federation of India. He always helped us for any requirements. And I also thankful our Regional Director, Mr. Vineet Kumar, who has spared time to join this program. I just want to share that this program is a brainchild of our Director General Sports Authority of India, Shri Sandeep Pradhan ji. And it is a joint venture for Table Tennis Federation of India and Sports Authority of India. And I also welcome everything our program director, Dr. Atul Dubey, has spoken about Mr. Richard Mcafee, and who having a USA Olympic Council medal, who is having a 75 IIT courses in his favors, and he has taken so many international coaching level, course 1, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And I really welcome Mr. Richard Mcafee, that you have agreed to join and share your experience and guide our Indian table tennis faculty for better futures. On behalf of Sports Authority of India, I welcome you on Indians Sports Authority of India Athlete Coaching and Education Program. Thank you. And I also want to share, say that all program is structured by our program director, Mr. Dr. Atul Dubey and his team. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pathania. Experts for the upcoming session is Mrs. Suman Parikh and Mr. Yen V, and technical support is given by Mr. Biswajit, a young professional from NSCC Kolkata. Mr. Mcafee is now humbly requested to take over the session. India is willing to hear from you after a long, long break. Once again, welcome, Mr. Mcafee.
Thank you so much for the kind words, and just the invitation to take part in this really wonderful set of programs that the Table Tennis Federation of India and the Sports Authority of India has put together. It's really a wonderful initiative. I wish that we had something quite as good as what you're doing in my country. This is really a wonderful program. So thanks for the invitation. When I was asked to do a program, of course, where I live, table tennis is pretty much shut down at the moment. So obviously, if you look around, I'm in my house and somewhat limited on what I can do or technically. But it occurred to me that all of us are going through a similar situation, in that, and it can be a useful time for everyone, just like you're having this very wonderful sessions for the athletes. I wanted to do something along the way of sharing a concept of how athletes progress in sport, particularly in table tennis, and the importance of staying on the path of the athlete. It's really one of those things that we get so busy, caught up in the day-to-day training and our activities, that we often are just sort of swept along the river without any really time to stop and assess what we want to do and how we're going to get there. And this time is sort of away from the sport a little bit, is giving all of us a chance to evaluate, what our goals are and exactly how we're going to get there. Everybody, wants to become a better player. Everybody wants to, hopefully all the young people would like to play for India and become a champion. And the problem is that only a few people get there, and you have to look at some of the reasons why. And the biggest thing is that when an athlete starts out as a young child, heading towards, on their path and their journey, they've never been there before. The parents have probably never been there before. So you're trying to get to some place that you don't have a roadmap for. And that makes it very hard to stay moving forward towards your goals and towards your path without getting sidetracked. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about, to the athletes and parents and coaches, about how they should look at this process. And it's a years-long process. It takes a long time. We all know that. 10 plus years to reach high performance. And how they need to think about that. And then I'm going to give everybody a tool that they can use with their parents, and athletes, parents, and coaches can use together to try and make sure that you're always moving forward on the path and not getting sidetracked, not staying too long in one place, and understanding really what the next step is all the time. And this is planning is actually really important to the success of an athlete, all the way from the beginning. Okay? So we're going to be talking about that today. I'd like talking to the athletes and parents now. I'd like you to think about that you're on a journey. You're going to a city called High Performance, but there's no GPS for it. There's no internet that's going to tell you how to get there. And probably as a parent, maybe your parent was a high-level athlete, so they may have some idea where that city is. But most oftentimes, the parents have not been there before, so they don't know the route. And the athlete's not been there, obviously, so they don't know the route. And that causes a problem. How am I going to get, as an athlete, where I want to go. It's a long journey. All right. So I'd like you to visualize that you're in a car and you're setting off on this journey. It's going to last for some years. You're going to have a lot of stops on that way because you're going to have to refuel. You're going to have to get food. You're going to have to get gas. In table tennis lingo, you're always want to be moving closer to your city. You don't want to be going in the wrong direction. You don't want to get off to the beaten path. You want to take the fastest, most efficient road to get you to where you want to go as quick as you can. Right? And that's a challenge when you've not been there. Also, along the way, at each stop, you're going to have to pick up some baggage. The baggage you're going to need in order to get to the next stop. And the baggage you're going to need in order to get to high performance, your city that you're heading to. Yeah. The baggage you're picking up is your technical tools, your tactical tools, your physical tools. You're basically loading your car up or you're loading your toolbox up with what you're going to need when you get to the high performance. Okay. The other thing you need to think about in this car is who's going to be in the car. It's going to be the athlete, obviously. Probably, hopefully, the parents. It's going to be a coach, maybe more than one coach. It's going to be practice partners, teammates, sponsors. It's going to be a lot of people in that car, excuse me. And at every stop on the way, somebody may get off, somebody may get on, but the athlete's always going to be there. Right. Now, in all of this, your coach is generally your guide. Right. And it may take more than one guide. You know, your coach may know how to get you from one city to another, but not sure where the next city is. So these people are going to come in and out of your car on your trip. I know, speaking as a coach, it's actually sort of rare that I'll have an athlete, you know, for many, many years. People move, especially in my country, you know, people move all over. Athletes come and athletes go, but coaches are always concerned about this process of how do I get the athlete to the next city? Always trying to move forward. Some of the other things you need to think about is, are you willing to pay for the price of the trip? And that's a big thing. And when I say price, I'm not necessarily talking about money. I'm talking about hard work, sacrifice. Are you willing to, you know, skip some time with your friends in order to hit the training hall? Are you willing to put in the physical training and just generally the hard work? Okay. If you're not willing to pay the price, then you're not going to be able to get, at some point, you're not going to get beyond that city that you're in. So we have this long trip with many different stops. Okay. And the goal of training is always to move you closer to where you're going. So, you know, how do you manage all this? Because this is really complicated. Table tennis, to me, is the most complicated sport in the world. It's the most technical sport, and you have huge amounts of things to learn, as well as to learn how to become a good athlete. So, you know, coaches will tell you it's not easy to keep track of all these things. Okay? Now, over the last few years, I've done a number of camps in India, for instance. So as a coach, I walk into the camp and I have to evaluate very quickly where on the path all these athletes are. And everybody's on a little different place. Okay? Because my goal in all my interactions with my athletes is to move them closer to high performance. So I have to know where they are in order to take them to the next step. And to do this, you really need some sort of evaluation tool. And what it would come up with, or I I've been coaching so long, there was no, of course, no internet. There was no access to, there was no books. There was nothing. So about 25 years ago, I'd already coached a lot. I needed some sort of tool that I could sit down with parents and athletes and show them, okay, you've accomplished this much, you have this much more to go. What's next? Because I need to keep everybody in the same car moving in the same direction. So I came up with a document I'm going to share now called the Table Tennis Pyramid. All right, and let me shrink this thing a bit. Hopefully. All right, where am I? Here we go. Shrink it some more. Sorry, guys, my first Zoom conference here. So, all right, here's the document. And I've asked that I believe from your end that you're setting up a Google Doc for this, and it's going to be available to anybody who wants it. So please, I'd like everybody, when you're done with this, to go through this document. We're not going to have time in an hour to go through everything on here, but I'm going to show you how it works. And of course, if we get 10 coaches together, they're not going to agree 100% with what skills are learned at each level. But what's important is that there are some very common guidelines and very common milestones that athletes have to meet. And I see this all over the world. This is not related to any country or anything. It's pretty much a natural growth and progression of the athlete. Yeah. The pyramid, at least in my vision, looks like this. Got 9 different levels. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what's in each level. And basically, you start at the bottom with your beginner, first day. And at first, you're learning basic stroke techniques. And after a few strokes are learned, basic strokes, you begin to combine those strokes. And once that happens, you're starting to move, so there's footwork becomes more important. As basic strokes and footwork are learned, you move up to level 3 and you begin to sequence these strokes into something that looks like a point. And normally this is done with the 5-ball system of training, where you're focused on the first 5 balls of a point. A serve return, a first attack, a counter attack or defense. And then usually by the 5th ball, most points are finished. So you're practicing taking those skills and putting them together in a sequence that's going to actually happen in a game. In level 4, as you start going through this, and I guess, let me go to the next page here. All right, here we go. Here's the stages. Stage 1, as I just said, is your basic technical development. You're learning your basic techniques. You're learning some of the basic science of the sport, basic rules, elementary spin theory, just generally simple basics. Level 2, you're starting to combine strokes together, forehand and backhand, push and topspin. And you're also starting to put in the footwork and the movement. Step 3, you begin the sequencing. You're starting, everything starts in your practice with service and then continues, or receive and continues, but everything's based around serve and serve return. In stage 4, what happens in stage 3 is the player starts to exhibit favorite patterns. And you begin to see, as a coach and as an athlete, how their style is going to shape up. What's really interesting is there are much fewer styles now than there were 10 years ago. So it's really pretty much 3 basic styles nowadays. It's not that hard to normally start getting an idea of the styles. This is an important step because at this juncture, training starts to get more individualized. Why is that? Because up to this stage, everybody's learning the same basics. But if I have a chopper, aggressive defender, or a mid-distance topspin player, or close to the table attacker, all of those players are going to need slightly different advanced strokes. So the training starts to get more individualized at this point. Once we start having an idea of styles, and I'm going fast because we have a limited amount of time. You spend some time with this document. There's a lot more to it we're going to get to. This is just a basic talking about the different normal stages of development. Okay? In stage 5, as a coach, I begin to give the athlete exact individual technical requirements. In other words, say we have 6 different forehand topspins that we can do. Which ones are going to be the most important to this style of player? You may not actually use all 6. Which of the 7 blocks are they going to use? How many? What combinations? At this point, training becomes quite individualized. In stage 6, we start moving into high performance. Now, what's important here, if you read that, it says technical development complete. At this level, all basic 95% of technique is finished. And from this, now why does that happen? Because the athlete has taken all the strokes you've given them, all the footwork training you've given them, and they've come up at this point with their own way to win points, their own technique for the point. They also have come up with their own way to move. Now, all you have to do is look at like the Chinese national team, and you'll see they've all had exactly the same training, but they all play a little different. They all have taken the same skills and combined them to make their own way of winning points and their own way of moving. This is a very important stage to get to. Now, here's what you need to understand with this stage. The earlier you get to this stage, the better. In China, this stage occurs at age 12, age 13 at the latest. If their technical development is not complete, they do not go into regional teams training at age 13. This is where they stop. Okay. So why is that important? Because if you get the technical work done early, then you have those years between age, especially in India and US, between 13 and 17 to start competing at a high level, to see how good you're going to be. And to have a good idea of where you're headed for, it may be a professional career, maybe not, but you have this needs to happen way before high school ends, because we all know what happens. Okay, at high school, you've got to make it, after high school, you got to make that choice. Are you going to go into college? You're going to keep, playing and trying to reach a high level. So the earlier this can happen, the more years you have to see how good you're going to be. And from this point on, training becomes mostly tactical. You have now all the skills. Now you have to get bigger, stronger, and faster, which is what you do in your teenage years. And you have to learn how to win. So most of these next 3 are all high performance. And when you look at this concept, what's important to understand is that all through these levels, training changes and training is different. High performance athletes in stage 7, 8, and 9 are not doing the same type of drills you did in stage 3 and 4. And what happens a lot of times is we get caught up doing the same thing all the time because we really don't have a concept of what we should be doing to get to the next stage. Now, the rest of this document is going to tell you how to do this. But I want you to think of this concept of you're in a car on a journey. This is your path. Now, for the TTFI and Sports Authority, pyramid also works like this. These people are all competing to get up to the top level. Okay? So the more people you put into the basic period, the basic level, the higher the athletes coming out of the top level are. Because there's this competition each level to go up. So the more people you push into the bottom of the pyramid, the higher level your team is going to become, your national team is going to become. And of course, India is really doing a wonderful job with their million player initiative and pushing a lot of people into the bottom level. That's going to ensure that the athletes coming all the way at the top, okay, because the top level is your national team, basically. Right? So that's going to ensure that those players are stronger all the time. Now, what I've done in this document, guys, is, all right, we know the stages, but what do you need to learn in each stage? So I broke down 9 different areas as a coach I'm looking at in each of these levels. Okay, how much technical development needs to happen and what is it? What are the goal setting? Because remember, if you don't have goals, you don't have, a coach can't tell you how to reach those goals. And goal setting is important at every level. Periodization is planning. Okay. Physical training for that level, injury prevention for that level, nutrition for that level, sports psychology, media skills, because when you get up to the higher level, you're going to have to know how to deal with sponsors, you're going to have to know how to deal with the press, and sportsmanship. Now, as you look at all this, keep in mind, there's no absolute. Okay, I cannot write you a document that's 100% perfect for every single player. But if you follow these general milestones that all athletes have to meet, you're going to get to where you want to go. Okay, now your coach may feel that something I have in level 4 should be in level 3. That's, you know, that doesn't really make much difference. But what you need to know is really all the different elements you need. And what I've come up with is 100 different milestones. That's a lot that a player has got to reach in order to get to their highest performance. And in each of these levels, I have all these 9 different elements. Okay. Now you go down a little further and you get into the technical. I'm just going to show you now how this document works, okay? Technical development, you have 7 different milestones to finish, okay, to achieve before you're really ready to move to level 2, technically. So you have stage 2 technical, stage 3 technical, stage 4, stage 5, stage 6, 7, 8, and 9. And of course, in the later stages, there's very little technical anymore because your technique's pretty well done. Okay. I have the same thing for goal setting. In stage 1, there's certain things you need to set as goals. In stage 4, stage 5. In this particular thing, you're not going to have different types of goal setting in every stage. But at these stages, you do. Individual planning for the athlete normally starts at stage 4. Again, we get back to this idea that the first stages, the beginning stages, 1, 2, and 3, pretty much everybody's doing the same thing. So you don't need to do individual planning that much. But you do starting in stage 4, and planning becomes bigger and bigger element. Then you have physical training at the different stages. And these are just milestones. This is things that you need to achieve, okay? In each of these things, you're going to have a lot of stuff to work on. Injury prevention, nutrition, sports psychology elements. Again, these are milestones. These are things that you want to be able to check off and say, I can do that. I know that. Media skills, sportsmanship. Okay. Now, how would you use this? All right. Well, this document, I wrote it to really start the discussion between the parents, the coaches, and the athletes about, okay, where is the athlete right now? Okay. And what do I need to accomplish to get them to the next level? What do they need to learn? What skills do they need to possess? So you can sit through here and you can literally, with your coach and your parents, you can go through this document the first time and just check off each of these steps that you've accomplished. And it should show you pretty much exactly what level you're in. Now, what you're going to find is that, okay, I have almost everything completed and I'm in level 5, but there's 1 or 2 things I didn't get in level 3 or level 4. You need to go back and get those. Right? You want to have them all. Because another thing that happens to athletes that derails them from becoming, as good as they could, is they're missing some of these things. And then they do arrive on that playing for the India championship or the state team or wherever they want to be, and they're missing some elements. And I can tell you that after your technique becomes complete, it's very hard to go back and put those elements in. Very difficult. So athletes and parents, you need to understand that all the training you do every day has one of 2 goals. Okay? The first goal, if you're far from competition, your first goal is to move you to the next level. And you need to be working on, and your drills need to reflect exactly what you're doing to move to the next level. Or if you're close to competition, you're not going to worry about getting to the next level because you have a competition coming up. You need to be working on drills and activities that are going to help you compete well with the skills that you have. You don't want to start learning new skills 2 or 3 weeks out from a competition. No matter what level you're in, even if you're in a beginning level or intermediate level, if you're going to play a competition in 3 weeks, I'm going to have to say to you, you know what, your forehand is as good as it's going to be for the competition. Let's go out and learn how to win the competition with the skills you have. So you basically, have 2 different thoughts in training. You're either going to be training to move up a level, or you're going to be training to get ready for the competition. So this is basically a document to help you and your parents really get an idea of exactly where you are, okay, and exactly where you're going for the next step. And this is really critical. You can't just go to training without any plan or understanding of where you're going, or you're going to get off track. You're going to go backwards, or you're going to miss picking up skills that you need. Because as a coach, I need you to arrive in the high performance 7, 8, and 9, you know, with all the things you need to master done. And everybody's trip on this path is a little different. But if you can keep focused on where you're going and why you're training and what the training should, how the training should change, then you're going to get to your peak performance, your high performance, as efficiently as you can in as less amount of time as you can. The biggest problem that athletes have is that a lot of training is wasted. It's too much the same thing. They've already got the skill and they're still doing it. Okay? It's not giving the athlete all the tools they need. Okay? So I'm hoping that this document will give you, and you need to take some time and really read the whole thing and go through it. But sit down, athletes, sit down with your coaches and go through this 100 points and check off all the things that you think, you know, that you really mastered already. And I'm sure all of you have mastered quite a bit. And see, you know, what's the next step? You have to keep your eye on the path, everybody, if you're going to get to where you want to go. So I think, Atul, do we want to, you know, take questions now, or? I can't hear you.
Actually, till now we are receiving so many appreciations, and all the kids, you all are free now to raise any sort of queries regarding the talk which Mr. Mcafee has just delivered. If you want to ask anything, you can post your queries in the chat box. A lot of you are asking that from where you can have these all documents. These documents has just been posted. Even it was posted yesterday also by Mr. Biswajit, and just now you can access it in the chat box. It is available at Google Drive also. You can have this document from Google Drive.
Absolutely. And, you know, I really hope it helps. I know that it has been very useful over the years for me, because, you know, stop to think about how much, now you've seen this, how much work your coach has got to do. It's a very complicated process, all right? And it's something that you need to be aware of. It's something parents need to be aware of. It's just how much, how technical the game is, how many milestones have to be reached. Okay.
We had just received a question, Richard. Mr. Subrat, he is asking that how to unlock the frozen practice and skills during these lockdown.
Well, I don't, you know, tactics are something that you have to learn by doing in a large way. Let me tell you the difference between tactical training and technical training. Okay? Technical training, you're working on how you hit the ball or how you move. So the focus is on execution. I'm sorry, your focus is on how you do it. in tactical training, when you do a session in tactical training, you're basically going to be working on a theme, a tactical theme. And at high level, these are like, okay, today we're going to work on taking initiative, or in other words, starting the attack. So when can you start an attack? Well, the first time you can do it is on the serve return. So you're going to do drills where basically after the serve, the player is returning the serve, and then it's totally free play. And the player returning serve has got to figure out the most efficient way for them to return serve to win the point. And it's going to be different for everybody. I could, as a coach at high level, when I'm coaching like a national team, and a player comes back after the first game, the conversation is going to be along the lines of, okay, you're really doing well when you counterattack, all right? Because the player's first attack is not bothering you. So I would tell the athlete, try and counterattack as much as you can. I'm not going to say serve the ball here or do this, and I'm not going to tell them what stroke to choose to counterattack with. All these things they have figured out in the training hall by doing drills where, okay, they're counterattacking. And the emphasis on tactical play is not how you execute, but the quality of the stroke you gave. How was the placement of that stroke? How was the spin? How was the speed? You know, you don't go to the national team player in India or China and say, you know, today I'm going to help you with your forehand. They'll look at you and laugh. Okay, their forehand is what they have. I mean, you know, we're gonna. The comments are all going to be, oh, you know what? That was a good quality of shot, but the placement wasn't good. You need to move that more to the corner. Or, you know, the placement was good, but you need more spin on that opening shot. So in tactical work, you're always looking at the result. In technical work, you're working at how you do it. Okay? So learning tactics, it's another document that I can send. All right, I'll just show it real quick. Tactics starts really when you start using the 5-ball training system. Okay. Now, what does that mean? About 80% of your points are over with in the first 5 touches of the ball. So we generally are starting to learn tactics when we start training this way. And what we do is a server obviously is going to have the first ball, the third ball, and the fifth ball. The receiver is going to have the second ball and the fourth ball. Yeah. So in a particular day, we take a theme of today we're going to work on third ball. Right? Third ball is the main work. So after the third ball, the rest of the point is free because the player has got to learn whether or not his third ball worked and how to use it. You can't learn tactics in a closed drill. Tactics are learned by you play a certain part of the point and then you totally open it up and see how you did. So in a third ball day, if we were working on third ball, we would plan the serve, we would plan the return, and then the third ball would be free. We do the same thing with fourth ball, fifth ball, serve return, and even service. Serve and free. Okay. So this document, and it goes in a little bit more detail. I mean, what type of third ball could you do? What could happen on a third ball? Well, on the third ball, I don't see where my thing is here. Okay. On the third ball, you might get your first attack, take initiative. You might be able to finish the point with a hard stroke. Okay? You might have made a bad serve and you're playing defense. Or you might be counterattacking on the third ball. You serve a half long ball on purpose to get a weak topspin that you can counterattack. So tactics is really wrapped up in the first 5 balls. So Atul, can I send you this document and you can put it on Google Drive as well?
Actually, a few of those who are Hindi speakers, I had already committed them to translate the previous 13 pages. And now you are overburdening me, but I'll welcome whatever you will send it to me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. At least you can start using this document. You can start thinking about how tactics are organized. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, few of them are asking that while having the training schedule, training session, they used to manifest all the skills, all the techniques, all the tactics while practicing. But when they comes to the table for the real game, they forget what to do and for what not to do. So how to mix this jumble?
In general, if you're not getting the result you want in a competition, it's always related to how you're training. Always. Okay. If I take an athlete to a competition and they don't do as well as we hoped, I'm never thinking it's because the athlete is at fault. I'm always thinking that there's something not right in the training. And generally, when that happens, the training is not enough alike. It doesn't resemble competition enough. Right? So what is competition? It's again based on these first 5 balls. And there has to be what we call breaks in the drills, where at some point in the drill, it becomes free, because that's what's going to happen in a game. Right? So when you're learning techniques, especially working on new skills, that type of training really doesn't help you in competition. It gives you good technique, but you're not training to win points. So again, at some point before competition, depending on what your coach thinks and what you think, 2 or 3 weeks out, you need to start organizing your training to look exactly like competition. So if you're going, and you can still work technically on things, but at a certain point in the drill, like after maybe the 3rd ball or the 4th ball, you really have got to say, okay, both players try and win the point, because you have to learn how to do that. You can have the greatest forehand in the world hitting forehand to forehand, or forehand where you know where the ball's coming, but that's not really going to help you win points. And that's one of the problems that I often see, is that people are training for competitions doing technical training where they know where the ball's coming. And that's usually the problem. And you also want to rehearse game situations before competition. You want to practice, what are you going to do at 9-all? Okay. What are your first serves going to be? You want to try and to make your practice look as much like competition as you can. You want to practice from being 7-9 down and serving. You got to win those 2 points, So again, if you're not getting the results in the competition, you've got to change the training. And most oftentimes you just need to make the training more like a game.
Thank you. And we are having 2 good questions with us. One, Mr. Som is asking, what is the difference between an Olympic champion and the champion of other events, but not the Olympic?
In actuality, I actually think winning the world championship is far more difficult than winning the Olympics.
I agree.
Because you play a lot fewer matches in the Olympics and you have more time. You're spread out more. Better question would probably be, what's the difference between, you know, the top 20 players and the next 50 players. Okay. And if you want to think about it like that, it's normally not really a technical difference. It's usually that the higher level players are better tactically. Okay. They're a little more stable maybe in what they do. And they have more weapons. They have more ways to win a point. They have more tools. But if you're talking about just hitting a ball, you know, there are players at the 200 level that hit just as hard, just as fast as the world champion. But also a big difference is psychology. Big difference. At the higher level you go, the stronger you are mentally, has a lot to do with your success.
No, you're perfectly right, because in previous sessions also we had discussed a lot related with the sports psychology or the biomechanics. So we all had discussed various times that a champion is a champion in holistic manner. Individual cannot become a champion if he is physically very good or he is very good in applying the tactics or the techniques. Unless he is not very good in strategy, if there is not emotional equilibrium, if he is not having and intelligence, guts to read the opponent's drawbacks and weaknesses. So there are ample things which makes a champion a champion. One more question I'll take, Richard. Ria, a little girl, is asking that how to know what level I am. If don't have a skills listed, but I have most of them, so should I consider myself to the next level?
Yeah, and keep in mind that these levels are not like hard set things. You sort of flow into them. There's not like one day you say, okay, I completed that level. It's a steady stream moving up up the pyramid. And what's important is that, let's say you have 90% of level 4 done, okay? And so you're starting to move into level 5. Just make sure that you also go back and pick up the 10% you're missing. You don't want to arrive in level 9 missing out of 100 different things, missing 10 or 15 of them. Because what will happen is the level 9 that you get to will be a lower level. You won't get as high as you could have. And we see it all the time. I've had athletes, a number of them, you know, make the top 200 in the world or something. I've had athletes better than that, but get to that level and couldn't go beyond it because they missed things early that they could never get back. They had finished their technique and they're done. Okay. So, you know, they had certain parts of their game that should have gotten to the top 50 in the world, but they were missing some things and that held them back. You're only as strong as your weakest link, you know? So if you're missing the fact that you can't, make a good move to your far right, you know, that will hold you back.
So before I sum up the last question, I just want to ask, one girl is asking, which is more important, practicing hard, practicing lot, or execution of some good skills or techniques?
Most important thing is to practice efficiently. To make every minute of your practice meaningful. You know, the really great players, in my experience, when they were young, they practiced with the same intensity they did at the competition. Every day. You know, don't waste time. And of course, what that means is that your practices need to be well planned. Every practice. You don't just show up and go, okay, I think I'll do this today and I think I'll do that today. You have a plan you know, to take you to the next level, what exactly should you be working on, and work on that. Okay. And again, if you're getting close to competition, all that shuts down and you're going to work on things that are going to help you, you know, compete well.
So before I cut in the session, I request Biswajit to kindly take Tanya sir into the hotspot. Meanwhile, I just want to assure you, Richard, that you just narrated that table tennis is one of the complicated sport, and depends, there is a car journey. So I ensure you, if we are driving through a bumpy road in a car in order to achieve the success, and a coach is a driver, a coach like you is a driver who is heading, who is leading us towards the destination, the voyage, the journey will be much comfortable, and the bumps on the way to the destination, we or the players or the trainees or the aspirants of the medal will rather enjoy that journey in achieving the success. And
I'm sorry, do we have time for me to say one more thing?
yeah, sure. Your whole day or our whole night, we are with you if you are there.
One thing I left out is we talk about the driver of the car. That changes over time. In the beginning, the coach is the only person who has any idea how to go. So the coach is really the driver. As you move up the pyramid, you're going to start taking more and more responsibility for yourself, and you should. Okay. And you're going to start doing more driver. And after a while, this really becomes a partnership. It's not the coach dominating. It's not the coach saying, okay, we're going definitely this way. This is a team thing. It's parent, coach, child, and it may be a whole team of people. It may be a sports psychologist, an exercise physiologist. At high level, there's a whole team, you know, and all of them are taking turns. But the athlete at the high level, the athlete is actually the driver. So it all changes.
Right. There is an old saying in India, actually, we say that parents are the first teachers or coaches, we can say. So if parents are the first teachers or coaches, then dear kids, what Mr. Richard is trying to say you, that coaches or teachers are the second parents to you. So if you'll keep on listening what your coaches, what your parents, what your teachers are suggesting you, are asking you or insisting you to do, please do in order to achieve the success. With this, I just want to invite our in charge operation, Mr. Dr. Rajendra Pathania ji, if he is there, he can listen me.
Sir, he has left the session.
Okay. So with this word, I just want to thank Mr. Richard Mcafee for sharing his one of the bestest morning in last few weeks with the kids of our country, India. And sir, let me assure you that most of your disciples whom you had trained, you had taught in last 8 years were very much eager, were very much curious to see you, to listen you, to hear you. And they all had not only attended this session, and most of them has already rang me since morning that though we'll attend it today also, but as soon as Sai will upload it on the channel of channel at YouTube, please give us link also. So pyare bachon, all the kids, as soon as NSCC Kolkata will upload this talk of 1 hour at the site, we'll drop the link to you at this juncture only. And even just at the end of the session also, few of them are asking from where we can have the documents. So it shows that you are not attentive. Since yesterday, we are constantly, repeatedly dropping this document at the chat box. We had dropped it through WhatsApp also. We had circulated it at Google Drive also. You can have it, you can collect it, you can take the printouts, you can have it in the soft copy. You just keep on. Because a guru, a teacher is a teacher whether he is physically in front of you or not. So once Mr. Richard has given you the documents, you just keep it as a holy book. And I assure you that as if you'll keep on reading every new day, the same page will give you more wisdom. The same page will give you more experience and more guts or more power or force to teach your own kid or your disciple. So with this word, I just wants to conclude that again, if you are the driver, Mr. Richard, the voyage will be very fruitful. The voyage will be very comfortable, and the voyage will be very jovial. We think that now we the table tennis lovers in this country, I think, as you said, more than 1600 you had already produced globally, and I think 5 to 600 are from India in last
Yeah.
8 years. So whole India, you are India is the second home to you. It may be the Indore, it may be Siliguri, it may be Ajmer, it may be Bangalore. Even though where you used to stay, they often comes. And this year our American friend is not coming, so we used to say just wait for another year. Maybe next year we will again see you. So with these words, on behalf of the Sports Authority of India and Table Tennis Federation of India, I owe my gratitude to you. And I owe my gratitude to Mr. Mohan also, because simply I approached him and he requested you, and you are such a generous, and you expressed your magnanimity and shared your time, valuable early morning with all of us. And hopefully we'll again bother you. We may knock your door again for some another sessions, for some another sharing of your wisdom. In the end, again, I thanks to Mr. Richard Mcafee from USA Coaches Development Committee, a legend of table tennis. You all had already heard, you all have already witnessed what he has contributed to our beloved game. On behalf of Sports Authority of India, on behalf of Table Tennis Federation of India, and soon maybe we'll request him if this program will continue for another few days. Maybe in August or September, whenever he is comfortable, we can again ask him to share his wisdom with all of you. Monday evening, 5:15, we'll again resume, because in my initial speech, I had just narrated that welcome on the last day. This last day was the 8th week's last day. It was not the last day of this e-Pathshala. The first day of 9th week will be at 5:15 p.m. on Monday. This voyage will continue. We'll keep on practicing. We'll keep on listening such visionaries just like Mr. Mcafee in upcoming weeks also. Once again, from whole of my heart, from the core of my heart, I'm thankful, Mr. Mcafee, for sharing your wisdom with all of us. Before
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, before
It's
I
really,
conclude, I request you to share.
It's been a great honor to do my first ever Zoom session with all my friends in India.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Have a safe day and fully fit and immune life ahead. बच्चों 5:15 बजे सोमवार को हम लोग फिर से मिलेंगे. आप लोग तैयार रहिएगा. फिर से कुछ एक्सरसाइजेस करेंगे जैसे कि हम पिछले 2 महीने से कर रहे हैं. I was constantly seeing the messages in the chat box of how we can make ourselves fit. It means that you are not attending for last 2 months what SAI and TTFI is providing to you. You can keep yourself fit by attending these sessions constantly and continuously. In the end, I just want to thank once again our Secretary General, Table Tennis Federation of India, Shri MP Singh ji, for sparing his valuable time with us. To our Regional Director, Shri Vineet Kumar ji, for showering his blessings to all of us. Our in charge operation, Dr. Rajendra Pathania ji, our Chief Advisor, Table Tennis Federation of India, Shri D.R. Chaudhary sir. I requested him to speak and bless you all, but he said that I am always with my kids. So if I'll steal that time which is reserved for Richard, then this will not be a justice. See how big-hearted he is. And thanks to our experts, Suman ma'am, Mr. Yen V, and our young professional who is providing all sort of IT support, Mr. Biswajit, because it was a little tough for us to have a connection with Mr. Richard, some 17,000 kilometers far, and having almost a 12-hour different time zone. But he usually made the things very easy and comfortably. Thanks, dear. I hope the same support in near future also. So till then, we meet again, bacho, 5:15 on Monday. Have a safe day, have a safe evenings, and have a safe life. Thank you.